What's going on, 49er faithful, 49er fam, 49er gang? This is your boy 49er Dion here, back with another video. What's going on, people? How are we doing out there tonight in 49er land? Definitely, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on the post notifications so I can keep you up to date on any and everything San Francisco 49. With that being said, we're going to jump right into it. So this video mainly here is just strictly about the injury. Now, here's the unfortunate thing, is a lot of them. We have a ton of injuries. And the injuries that we have, unfortunately, spell the end of the road for some 49ers. And we're going to get into all of that. But right now, we're going to hit y'all with the breaking news. What's going on, Matt? How you doing, man? So breaking news is we signed Jonas Griffith to the practice squad. If you remember, he's an undrafted free agent that we brought in right after the draft. He was a linebacker out of Kentucky. Didn't really see much from him on tape from college, and saw much of nothing from this guy necessarily on training camp, which is why he didn't necessarily make the squad. But they've signed him just due to the fact, hey, what's going on, Mariah? I'm doing well. I hope you and your family and everybody over there where you at are doing well as well. But then we activated Joe Walker to the active roster. Now, if you guys remember, we signed Joe Walker in the offseason. Just going, hey, that's it. That's their own problem. We did sign Joe Walker in the offseason because Joe Walker was one of the guys who actually beat out a starter for their linebacking spot in Arizona. And now he's been activated to the practice squad with the injury to Quan Alexander, which we'll get into a little bit later. We made a trade with the Jets for a linebacker named Jordan Willis. So we gave up a sixth rounder in 2022. So nothing next year, but the year after. So we gave up a sixth rounder in 2022. And we get the player and we get a seventh round pick in 2021. Now, if you know John Lynch and you know how that works, John Lynch has made most of his money in the draft in the later rounds, not necessarily in the first couple. Willis was the third round pick by the Bengals. Ever since he got to the league, he hasn't really gotten any playing time. I know these are somebody's practice squad, but there's been nothing really that he's been going to, that he's really been doing. Nobody's really given him a chance in the NFL. I am a diehard UCLA fan. My uncle converted me, so me and you, Matt, that's one thing we're gonna have to disagree on there, man. I am not a Trojan. I'll give you a little story about that a little bit later, but don't keep with the video. But I'll get back to you on that on the USC UCLA thing. But in college at K State, and in his sophomore, junior, and senior year, Jordan Willis was a flat out beast. So in 2014, this man compiled 4.5 sacks for seven tackles for a loss. In 2015, 8.5 sacks and 14 tackles for a loss. 2016, 11.5 sacks and 17.5 tackles for a loss. So in college, he was great, but he doesn't have any real experience in the NFL. So what's actually a little confusing is with somebody with a linebacker to have stats like that and to be playing in the Pac-12 against some great competition, how is it that he didn't get any PT, in the NFL? Nobody gave him a chance to start. It just doesn't make sense. So it's telling me right now that he's having a hard time transitioning to probably the speed of the NFL, because that's one thing that a lot of people actually do go with is a lot as far as the issue that they have with transitioning is just the speed in the NFL, because guys are a lot faster, but you're dealing with grown ass men and young men. You know what I'm saying? These are young men, mostly in college, that are coming into their own as men. When you get to the NFL, these are grown ass men. You deal with a dude who's been in the league 4, 5, 6 years. That's a whole man out there. So let's go ahead and get into these injuries. So unfortunately, Dee Ford and Richard Sherman will not be back until about week 10 or week 12. Now, the reason that I did state just a second ago that we're going to have some people that are going to be missing. And what happens is it's really weird because, guys, Dee Ford is done. He's done. The man can't stay healthy to save his life. He was only healthy the year he needed to be because he needed to get paid. And we were the dummies that paid him. And as well with Richard Sherman, missing all this time, and Jason Verrett getting back to Jason Verrett form. Um, it's super crazy, man. You know, and I'll touch on all those points for you, Matt. I'm gonna get to you, baby. I got you. We got lots to talk about. But it's super crazy because Jason Verrett is looking like Jason Verrett from 2015 when he was Pro Bowl Jason Verrett. Emmanuel Mosley has been playing outstanding. Keller Witherspoon has been relegated to the bench because of his sorry sap of himself, who randomly, I'm available for emergencies, but Brian Allen getting ate up. Maybe I should tell coach to go on in. Yeah, coach, I could do it. What he should have done was went ahead and played the whole fucking game because at the end of the day, it's an issue. You know what I'm saying? He's a sucker. He's a sucker for that. Keller Witherspoon, you are soft, just like Dante Whitner said. But it looks like E-Man Mosley and Richard Sherman should be our starters for the rest of this. I mean, E-Man Mosley and Jason Verrett should be our starters for the rest of the season, just due to the fact that Sherman's been out for so long. You're not going to sit Jason Verrett when he comes back. And you don't want to sit Emmanuel Mosley because you're able to play versatile with him. Mosley and Verrett can play man and zone. Sherman only knows zone. And we all know that because that's what he's played throughout his whole career. He's done his job. He's done it very well. But you can't put him in man because he doesn't have the speed. He doesn't have, the wherewithal to be able to keep up with some of these super fast receivers. So I believe that the end is near for Dee Ford and Richard Sherman after this offseason. And remember, this is Richard Sherman last year under contract with us. He only signed a 3-year deal, and this is the third year of that deal. So he's technically a free agent, and we'll most likely allow him to walk and probably try to re-sign Jason Verrett and figure out exactly what we can do. And then when it comes to Weston Richburg, I didn't like the signing from the beginning, guys, because he was injury prone when he was with the Giants. He's been injury prone since he's got here. He's never finished a full season. So Richburg had, I believe it was a torn patellar tendon, and he was recovering from that. And then Kyle Shanahan came out, I think, last week and said that he also had shoulder surgery. So you have shoulder surgery and a torn patella tendon, along with all of he's just an injury-prone dude, man. He can't stay on the field, and we really need him. He's really great with the line calls and everything like that, and make sure guys understand coverages and what to do and everything. But if you ain't never healthy and you ain't on the field, what good are you? So that's the crappy part about that. Raheem Mostert has a high ankle sprain. They put him on that short-term IR, which will land him on there for about 3 weeks. So what I don't want people to do is think that Mostert's out and we're lost and the running game is over with. The running game is not over with because we have a young man named JaMycal Hasty. Now, they put JaMycal Hasty on for an actual interview today. If you watch, if you follow the 49ers on YouTube, I didn't know who it was. I was just confused because I had never seen a picture of JaMycal Hasty. I literally have only seen him play. I never saw his face. I was like, who the heck is this guy? And then next thing you know, the reporter comes in and he goes, oh, hey, JaMycal. And I'm like, oh, okay, so that's Hasty. Yeah, Emmanuel and Verrett are playing super lights out. But I mean, it's not. We'll get to that, Matt. We'll get to that. I'm gonna run through these injuries, and I promise you, I'm gonna get to everything that you're talking about. But Raheem will be on the IR for about 3 weeks. Ben Garland has a calf strain. He'll be on the IR for about 3 weeks. These are all short-term IR guys. So what'll happen is you'll have Hroniss Grasu. He'll come in and he'll play. He'll play for us, and we'll do what we can with Grasu. I mean, he didn't do too bad when he came in. Outside of Mike Litch trying to give him a damn concussion headbutting him like nobody's business. You know what I mean? So then we got Tart, who has a groin strain. So that's to be determined, but I'm going to tell you right now, Tart's most likely going to have a situation where he'll be out. They may put him on the short-term IR. They may not, just to be able to have him available if you ever feel he can go. Groin strains are no joke. It's not something you can come back from real easily, and you have to be very careful or you'll re-aggravate it. So the situation is a lot of people have been saying activate Tarvarius Moore, but Moore plays strong safety, not free. And at the same time, he lines up behind Jimmy Ward. So you can't have Tarvarius Moore playing there and then Jimmy Ward's there. So they'll most likely have Marcel Harris start. But in the end, I think that we might just bring up Jonathan Cyprian. We may or may not. He has been on the practice squad. He's already with the team, so we might bring him up because he is an upgrade over Marcel Harris. It's no disrespect to Harris, but Cyprian played at a little bit of a Pro Bowl level when he first came into the league, and the couple of interceptions that he had in camp, I'm not going to overlook that. So I think that he would be a better. It would be a better deal for him. Let's see here. What are you saying, Matt? Went to ESPN on YouTube about Michigan Harbaugh relationship. Some of the comments that we should uh, sign Jim back to move Kyle. Oh, nah. I'll dig into some of that stuff, Matt, but I don't think that's not going to happen. You got to think about it like this. You just gave that man a 5-year extension as a head coach, and people are talking about stuff like that. It's all speculation, and it's all something that somebody might want, but you're not going to give a guy a 5-year extension and tell him, hey, go be the OC. It doesn't work like that. So next guy up is K'Waun Williams. Williams is eyeing a return by the Seahawks game, which will have put him on a short-term IR for the proper length of time, and it will allow him to practice and be ready. The reason being is because he knows we're going to need him. Seahawks are pushing really hard right now, trying to sign Antonio Brown. And I told y'all in videos earlier that Brown was going to be a guy that it was going to be a situation where Antonio was going to be available by week 8. He was going to serve his suspension, and somebody was going to come along and pick him up. Now, I pray to God that he doesn't wind up in our division because no matter how stupid people may think he is for the things he does on social media and in his own regular life, that man is a beast on the field. That is not to be overlooked or understated. That man is ridiculous. I don't want no parts of that. I don't need Jason Verrett trying to hold him down. I don't need Emmanuel Mosley trying to hold him down, or even Jamar Taylor. I'd rather him go elsewhere, stick in the AFC. I don't care what you do, not come anywhere near my division. Gotta respect the man's talent at the end of the day. So, next up, we have Quan Alexander. He's on that short-term IR. They expect him to be out till about week 8, week 9, which is why we have all the linebacker movement. We got Joe Walker coming up. You got, us trading for Jordan Willis, re-signing Jonas Griffith to the practice squad. All of that linebacker movement is because of Quan and because those injuries at the same time. They probably don't have an overabundance of faith in Azeez because Azeez is good, but he's no Quan Alexander. He's no Dre Greenlaw. He's no Fred Warner. And they love him in the linebacker room, but I mean, the dude's got to make better plays, got to make better decisions. So, you try to see if you can get pass rush what you can. No, I don't believe Barkley. I think that was just a freak accident, happened, and he'll be back next year stronger than ever. Then we go down a list. So we got Dante Johnson. He's got a groin issue. He'll probably be back around week 8, week 9 as well. I'm not really worried about Dante Johnson. With the way that Mosley and Verrett are playing, we won't see Dante Johnson at all. He'll be sitting out there with Akello Witherspoon. The reason being is because we'll need depth in line at DB. But if we have Sherm back healthy and we have Witherspoon healthy as well, then most likely you'll see somebody get cut, and most likely cut Johnson because he is the odd man out. But of course, we got Bosa out for the year, Solomon Thomas out for the year. Tevin Coleman may be back by week 8, maybe not. I don't think so. I think his injury is a lot worse than what they're leading on because we haven't seen him try to come back for nothing about him practicing. So I believe that Tevin Coleman will probably be about week 9, maybe 10, if that. Jeff Wilson has a calf strain. He possibly could be back this week. I don't think he's going to miss too much time. I think he'll be perfectly fine as far as what he needs to do to get back onto the field. Kyle always likes to have 3 healthy running backs going at all times. It's just how he moves. We all know this. So you'll see Kyle have, DeMichael Hasty, Jeff Wilson, Jr., Jerk, and out there. Now, the one thing is that McKinnon's been looking a little bit slower. He's not as shifty and decisive as he wants to be. So I would say they're probably going to give a bulk of the load to Jeff Wilson, split it between Jeff Wilson Jr. and most likely JaMycal Hasty, probably Hasty a little more often than not because Hasty has breakaway speed. He's a ridiculously fast player. If you get that dude in a foot brace, you can kiss him goodbye. The difference between JaMycal Hasty and like some other backs, a lot of people have been comparing him to Breida because of his speed. But the thing is that Breida was more shifty and fast. He didn't really like to hit or bang or get up in there and go between the tackles. JaMycal does do that. So he has that combination of finesse, but he has also that grit and that hard hitting mentality. So it's a beautiful thing to have out there on the field. And I think the more reps this guy gets, only the better he's going to become. Of course, we lost Ziggy Ansah for the year too. So we lost Bosa and Solomon Thomas torn ACLs early in the year. Same game against the Jets. We lost Ansah. He played one game and wound up tearing his bicep, so he's out for the year too. Ronald Blair had a setback in his recovery, so they're hoping to get him back between week 10 and 12. I say most likely week 12 because I believe we have our bye week coming up. And when is our bye week? So yeah, our bye week is week 11. So I'm going to say probably week 12 for Ronald Blair. Once Ronald Blair comes back, you'll most likely see a couple of guys either get moved to the practice squad and or somebody's going to get cut because, we already know what Ronald Blair can do, how he the system. Hopefully we get him back and, try to work him in little by little and then make sure he gets that football callus back on his body. So, of course, we got Jalen Hurts to the ACL. Jordan Reed's probably back by at least week 12 with that high ankle sprain. It'd be nice to get him and Kittle on the field at the same time to show what kind of duo we can have with those dudes, especially coming up this week against the Patriots. But unfortunately, right now we won't have that. And Mark Nzacha, he'll probably be back by about week 8. But we don't really care. I mean, Mark Nzacha's more of a special teams guy. So coming up real quick here, guys, we got the Patriots, Seahawks, Packers, and the Saints. And then we have our bye week in week 11. So I'm going to tell you right now, we've done really good so far. We already hit one of the teams in the gauntlet. We went out there, we punched the Rams in the mouth. We got a dub for the home team, for us being at home, which we had, had a losing record at home. We hadn't won one, so that's a good thing. So we got to go ahead and face these Patriots next week. I'll give you another video on that. But this is more so just to touch on the injuries and just to tell you a couple of quick things. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a situation where there's going to be a lot of guys that won't be here next year. We have, I think, at least 27 to 33 agents next year, if I'm not mistaken. And there's probably going to be some guys wanting to just don't have the money for them and or they need to just get it together and get gone because we don't have the time to waste space. We're trying to get to that 6 Super Bowl range so we can match with the Pittsburgh Steelers and with the New England Patriots. So that's it for me as far as just injuries go. I do believe that we're going to be perfectly fine, like I said, going forward. Having JaMycal Hasty in there, that change of pace back, but the guy who can still get in between tackles and bang up in there. We'll have hopefully Jeff Wilson Jr. back in this game, where if we have goal line situation, we can put him in. No more putting in Jet. No more putting in Raheem Mostert on the goal line. Kyle, get your shit together and just go ahead and throw in Jeff Wilson Jr. That's what he does. That's his job. That's why we brought him in. You know what I'm saying? That's definitely it. And you're right, 49 Lakers for Life was having, which, yes, we do have to fight very hard these next few games. But let me get to Matt, man. Matt been commenting like nobody's business. So I'm trying to get through these comments real quick. He's been my main guy commenting, so I got to take a look through his stuff and take a look back and see what's going on. I'll get to you right now, Matt. So with the USC UCLA thing, my uncle is a UCLA. He is a UCLA graduate. Graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering. I have lots of family that went to most of the colleges in California. I even have some family that went to USC. But my uncle went to UCLA, and that's how I became a UCLA fan. Plus, I have a great cousin who actually, a couple of cousins who died, but they played back at UCLA when John Wooden was actually coach, and they played with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when he was Lou Alcindor. So definitely big ties to UCLA. Much love for them, whether it be football and or basketball. And then at the same time, UCLA just got great rich history. I remember I was getting hired for a job, and I learned from, I believe it's like monster.com or something, that what you do is when you go in for a job interview, so that the interview works in your favor. What you do is you can look around that person's office and see what piques their interest, what things make them tick, what they have. If you see little figurines, you see a picture, you see something, repetitively around the office, you use that. And I was going for a job at Just Tires years ago, man. And I had a dude tell me, I had the manager. Long story short, I was on the bus. I wasn't dressed for an interview. Told him I couldn't come in. I needed to get home. Wanted to reschedule. He said, as long as you're not dressed crazy, come on in. So I went in, sat down in the office. Was about to do the interview. I look up on the wall and he's got a plaque. Graduated from the C. So when he sat down, he asked me a couple quick questions. I answered his questions and I said, well, I appreciate the offer, but I think I don't think it's going to work out. And he looked at me, he looked confused. And he said, why is that? I said, I mean, you're a Trojan. And I don't really think I could do that. And he looked at me and he said, don't tell me you're a Bruin fan. And I did. And we just both busted up laughing, traded a couple of jabs at each other here and there about who's better at this, who's better at that. And it was actually really cool, man. And that's what had helped me to be a shoo-in for the gig. Outside of the fact that I already knew how to do the job was cake. It was real easy, just change the tires, so nothing. But the beauty of it was for me to be able to build a rapport with my boss so quickly, so easily, that it was actually something that made me a shoo-in for things. So that's basically how I became a UCLA fan. Yes, we do need to get our revenge over Dallas later. That is definitely the case. Um, Jimmy did look very, very well in this last game. I think he will continue to look good as his ankle gets better. I think they're just conditioning and rehabbing him properly. Couldn't even say that properly each week to make sure that he gets the proper rest and that he's able to do that. Jimmy was dating that porn star a while back, Matt. That was a while ago. I don't think he's still dating that chick. That was a long time ago, and he did it, and that's why he called him porn star Jimmy and all that. I mean, it is what it is. When you watch First Take, you'll see Stephen A. Not literally salivate, but low key salivate over famous women all the time. Kelly Rowland, Beyonce, Sanaa Lathan, all of these women. He loves them all, and I mean they're beautiful women. So I mean, you're not gonna be mad at him for it. He'll be doing his own thing. Um, let's see here. Yeah, but that movement, the whole movement, Kyle, the OC thing, that's just people speculating, just trying to create something for clickbait. At the end of the day, you're never going to give a guy an extension and then tell him you're better off as an offensive coordinator. It's just not going to work, especially with somebody of Kyle's caliber. And then at the same time, if that dude became available, somebody's going to go to him and give him that coaching. They're going to look and say, it took you 3 years to get a team to the Super Bowl. I think I'm with that. Adam Gase has been with the Jets for how many years and he ain't done nothing? I'm just saying that's definitely a serious situation. Um, and yeah, that's true. Jim does hear Jed York on the other line, and he doesn't need to hang up. It was basically a situation where Jim Harbaugh wanted more control. Jed York didn't want to give it to him, and they wound up parting ways. I mean, Jim Harbaugh had the best run ever while he was there with us, and all of those people who were on his staff, they can credit him with helping them get jobs. Vic Fangio wouldn't have a head coaching job if it wasn't for, Jim Harbaugh. Greg Roman wouldn't be the offensive coordinator over there in Baltimore if it wasn't for Jim Harbaugh bringing him along. So there's a lot of guys that owe Jim Harbaugh a lot of credit because he brought him along. You know, I live in enemy territory all the time, bro. I don't worry about it. I don't worry about it. I live in Arizona. There's nothing but Cardinal fans out here. But you know what happens? We still have a bar that we take over. We actually have several bars in Arizona that we take over as 49er fans if we watch 49er football. And they can't even barely get in because it's too many of them. And they don't come in there and start nothing. Don't nobody want these 49 problems. We out here and we deep. So I never worry about living in enemy territory. That's always how I work. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, I mean, the NFL um, right now is at a crossroads because a lot of these places, the situation right now is that places are trying to open up. And I'm gonna tell you right now, from my standpoint, people are gonna open their businesses next year. They're not gonna continually wait for people to say, hey, this is our contingency plan. This is how many people you should have. This is what you should do. You got to open up because you don't want to allow the economy to suffer because you continually have everything closed. You're going to have to learn, unfortunately, how to live with the coronavirus and how to deal with it in whatever way you can. businesses are not going to continually suffer because people aren't getting it together. At the end of the day, they have that big ass stadium. The simplest thing, and this I'll say this until they finally get it right. You could have opened stadiums at half capacity across the country. That is more than enough space for people to social distance. And then at the same time, it's enough for a stadium to make money, a business to make money. It doesn't force the salary cap to drop really drastically next year. The owners can still make bread. You see what I'm saying? There's ways to do things. And if you're talking about social distancing, just open up at half capacity. There's no way in hell you can fuck that off. You just can't. It's not like that. So that's just basically what they definitely should have done because that is a beautiful stadium. I watched like a virtual tour of it. Jesus Christ, that is an amazing stadium. SoFi Stadium is beautiful. We would have gotten 10 home games versus Dallas in the second verse. We'll never get 10 home games, man. Shit, we got enough. What's happening, John B? Roy Boy? What's good with y'all, man? Yeah. But Saints is definitely winnable if we can contain Kamara. You're right, but we still got those tight ends because those tight ends ate us up last year. You got to remember that, Matt. We had a lot of people eating us alive last year. And yes, we do have to fight hard these next few games. We got to keep it going. It's definitely a hard thing, but we'll get through it. Roy Boy, what's happening with you, man? You said hear your noisy workplace, get that Bluetooth phone. I feel you, John B in here. Yeah, we don't let that the trolls and the cockroaches. They don't get up in here, man. They really don't, man. It's definitely peaceful, And you know what kills me is, like you say, you got into an argument with a Chiefs fan who doesn't even know who Jamal Jackson. That's always a beautiful thing, man. And I'm gonna tell you why. It's always hilarious when you see people that swear that they die hard fans of things, but they don't know nothing about their team, and you know more about their team than they do. I had a Chiefs fan come at me so hard, and this was just last week. And what kills me is, I looked at him, I said, yeah, man, but you should be thanking us. He said, thanking the 49ers for what? We won the Super Bowl on our own. I said, oh, so you don't know the history of the 49ers and Chiefs trades. Do you? And he just kind of looked at me and I'm like, oh, okay, so you don't. I said, so let me explain something to you. In the early 90s, when we decided to trade Joe Montana, you know where he went? I said, where? I said, to the Chiefs. And you know what happened to you guys? He said, what? I said, went to the AFC Championship. You're welcome. I said, oh, and then when we got Colin Kaepernick, not but a couple of years ago, and we decided to go ahead and trade Alex Smith, guess where we sent him? To the Chiefs. So who do you think Patrick Mahomes sat behind and was waiting on? That's just how it is, man. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. What did you say, Roy Boy? You got to get 1,000 more sheets of political pricks. Then I can have. Yeah, man. Yeah, you got to do what you got to do, bro. Get it cracking, man. Get it cracking. Whatever you got to do, man, get it cracking. But it's always funny when you check a fan about their team and you know more about their team than what it is, Oh, there you go. For sure. So we were just getting into what if you missed anything, Roy Boy, basically what it was we were getting into just the injuries on the team, man. And I was saying that guys like Sherm and D Ford, Solomon Thomas, Ziggy Ansah, guys like that are probably gone. Just because they wrote their book and that's it. You won't have Deion Jordan next year. You know what I'm saying? Because these are all guys that'll be free agents. We got about 27 to 30 free agents, man, and we got some marquee dudes that we got to sign. You have Ronald Blair as a free agent. You have the best nickelback in the world in K'Waun Williams. But then we still got to go ahead and sign Fred Warner. You see what I'm saying? So we got a lot of things coming up next year that's going to be hard for us to be able to keep all these dudes. We're probably going to have to draft really, really good because Jason Verrett, believe it or not, he's a free agent next year. So is Emmanuel Mosley. Like, we can't let dudes like this walk. We got to find a way to get them some money and be able to tell them, hey, look, man, next year's going to be better. By that time, they'll have this coronavirus crap under control. We'll be able to get you more money the year after. All of those things are going to have to happen. So it's definitely going to be really hard. We got to make sure that we, keep the guys that are really doing well for us. It's a stroke of luck that Jason Barrett is healthy as he is, and we're doing everything that we can to make sure that we keep him going. And I hope that he stays continually healthy. I'd give the guy some money. I'd resign him. If you could get a healthy Jason Barrett, you have no idea how great that is. Um, Trent Williams, yes, he is another free agent. And right now, he's not looking so great, but you got to remember, Trent Williams is out of football for it. So you got to get that man a little bit of time to get his legs back under, technically speaking. But I do believe that he'll be fine. And I do believe they'll re-sign Trent Williams. The plus for us remembering this, guys, is that Trent Williams playing so-so and not being just ridiculously, a star-struck Pro Bowler that he normally is, that gives us leverage when it comes to his contract. Yes, somebody will just pay Trent Williams whatever he wants because he's a left tackle, he's been a Pro Bowler, all this other stuff. But the thing is, do you want to stay in the system that you know and continue to grow, and then be able to get a deal worth about 2, 3, 4 years that'll give you enough money to be able to set you up right, or are you just gonna run where the money is and possibly try to fight for just guarantees because that's what you need, you know? So we're hoping that Trent Williams can stick around because we definitely need a left tackle. If not, we're just gonna have to roll forward with Justin School. And that's no knock on Trent Williams. I love him. I want him to stay. I don't want him to go nowhere, but I'm just telling the truth. That's how they'll do it. We'll roll forward with Justin School. School looks good. And if you ain't see Trent Williams mic'd up at training camp, he loved him some Justin School. When School's out there and he was making plays, man, hey, you see Schoolie? Hey, man, I love me some Schoolie out there, man. Schoolie good. Schoolie doing his thing. Like, he gave him a lot of props, so you definitely got to work that. As far as who my favorite player on the team is right now, Matt, I'm a DB guy. I love defensive backs. I was never tall enough. I never had the size to play defensive back. Even though for me, I'm an 80s baby, so we played football in the streets. We played on the grass. We did whatever. I lined up at DB all the time. Anybody did this work. I played running back on offense, but on defense, I was a DB. You come get this work. I'm just jamming you off the line. I play man. I don't play no damn zone. I ain't giving you no cushion. You ain't breathing. So I'd have to say right now, my favorite player on the team, honestly, would be Jason Brett. I love the fact that he's back to form, and I'm very happy that he's on our team and that he's having a good year. Um, John B, that's a good one. I don't know if Juice is sticking around. Here's the thing: after our draft and after our undrafted free agents came along, I told you guys if Josh Holker progresses well enough, Juice may not be here next year. Juice is just another Josh Holker. I'm telling you, if you don't believe me, please look at the dude's tape and look at his stats from his college career. The man was a flat out beast. I think he had 9 TDs in his last year in college, and he was a fullback, full time. So if Josh Holker comes along, Juice may not be here next year, strictly based on the fact that it's going to be cheaper to keep up, way cheaper. Juice is going to command money no matter where he goes, and he can get paid certain amounts of money. But maybe he'll take a discount to stay with us. Maybe he won't. You know, excuse me. I never knock players for going to get their money because that's what they should be doing. Players should be trying to go out there and get every dime they can get because the NFL usually, when it comes to players, stands for not for long. The average NFL career, I believe, spans at least about 2 to 3 years. You don't make a ton of money in that span of time, even if you're a first round pick. You got to fight to get a guaranteed contract, all of these things, man. There's a lot of different things that can come into play. You get injured, you wind up just washing out of the league. It is what the fuck it is. You got to go back and be a regular person. There's plenty of first round picks that have been washed out and they ain't nowhere to be found. So, you just gotta hope that. And yes, that hurdle over Ayuk, man, that hurdle in Philly, oh Jesus Christ. He was nasty. He was nasty with that, bro. He was super nasty with that. It definitely is. He's super athletic. His wingspan is flat out ridiculous, and you can even see it in interviews. His arms are ridiculous long, bro. I'm talking like super long. So his wingspan is crazy great. Um, you know, yeah, if he didn't, you're right. If Jamal Charles didn't tear his ACL, he would be a Hall of Famer. Juice is the best fullback in the NFL right now. You're correct on that, Matt. There's not that many. But here's the thing: the best fullback in the NFL still costs a lot of money. So, do you want to be cheap, and do you want to just go ahead and make sure that you keep your bread and just bring a guy along that can possibly turn into Juice, or do you just want to keep Juice and pay that man more than you feel he possibly could be worth? Because we gave Juice a contract, he wasn't going to get it anywhere else. When he came to us, we gave that man big money. We did not give him chump change. So we paid him big money. We paid Jerick McKinnon big money, which we definitely shouldn't have because for 2 years he just sucked up a roster spot and cap space, which meant nothing. Um, but that's just how it works. What do you say, John V? That's not that's that Devo mentality, not for long. That boy is killing it to get paid. Yeah, yeah. So you gotta have dudes and you gotta pay guys that you want. The other thing is, we still have a crowded receiver room, right? We got a crowded receiver room. So what's crazy is you have Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Kendrick Bourne. Those are the main three receivers that you see on the field at all times. You get a little sprinkle of Trent Taylor, but Dante Pettis is where relegated to being deactivated again. Nothing. Don't even care. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you gotta be mindful with that, man. That's one thing that I learned in this league, John B. It's the 49ers of old and the teams of old used to keep their core together. Yes, I'm laughing to Pettis' joke. But yes, they used to keep their core together. They would pay their players to stay. That was Eddie D. That was the old school teams, and we loved that, man. That's how we had that family mentality. But now, because players becoming more and more expensive, you just quick to get a younger dude in there, getting for cheap, and try to get him as much out of him and squeeze as much out of him before you have to pay him. Because if you're a great player in this league, you can get 3 contracts. If you're a good player, you can get 2. If you're okay, you may get 1, and you might get another small one. And then again, sometimes you luck out. Kinlaw is not going to be a bust. I don't think he's going to be a bust. I think it's just taking him a little bit longer to learn because Kinlaw isn't as polished as like a DeForest Buckner was. Defoe had 6 sacks when he first came, but Defoe was chewing up gaps. He was making plays. He was pushing the pocket. The one thing about Kinlaw that he has to learn is that raw power and strength is not going to get you a dub when you're going against these offensive linemen in the NFL. These guys will find ways to, subdue you, and they will find ways to make sure that you don't have a chance to be able to beat them. You're gonna have to like that. That's how that works. So once he gets that down in his brain and he understands how to be able to start adding other moves and other things to his repertoire of talents, then that will make him a better player. And I think with his raw, pure ability and his pure athleticism, that he will wind up in a situation where he's going to tear the league apart. I think he'll have himself a couple of sacks this year. He should get at least about 3 or 4 at a bare minimum. He doesn't have any right now, and he barely has any tackles, but he gets a lot of pressure. And the thing is, going up against Cam this week, we got to be real mindful because they're going to run the quarterback like nobody's business. They know we have a real problem with that. But we did pretty good containment last week. But yes, Matthew killing me, Simon. Yes, Eddie Dalton is straight trash. Marisa, oh, little Marisa, hi. Hi, how are you? Andy Dalton is straight trash. He's hot garbage. And if you saw the way he played, oh my God. The Cowboys are flat out debacle. I can tell you right now, Jerry Jones is looking going, fuck, man, I really wish I would have paid Dak right now. That would have been, yeah. Ugh. And I'm telling you, they ain't paying no attention. Matt, I'm going to give you a video on the Patriots this Saturday. I promise you. Maybe even tomorrow. It depends if I have the time. But I'm glad you're good, Marisa. But as far as the Pats receivers, Oh, man, N'Keal Harry couldn't catch a ball if it hit him in the face. You know what I'm saying? And y'all ASU fed N'Keal Harry and basically put Brandon Ayuk on the back burner when they could have just used both of them rather than using just one. Herm Edwards admitted that. He said we fed, N'Keal Harry most of the time strictly based on the fact that, he was the star, he was the guy. But we knew what Ayuk was capable of. And then Ayuk came busting out of the seams and look at him now. At least he can catch the ball. N'Keal Harry looked like hot garbage. Um, I mean, James White is good. James White's a good dual threat back, but I'm not sold on James White. Not like that. You know. But I mean, I don't think that we're gonna have too much of a problem with the Patriots. We shouldn't. The only thing that scares me about the Patriots, honestly, is the fact that that's where Jimmy is from and they know him. So they know what the mistakes and things can be, as far as how to attack him and what they know to do to, make him uncomfortable. Hopefully we can, be able to negate that with the play that we have and, show Bill Belichick up and, at the end of the day, get Kyle Shanahan to win over Bill Belichick and, hopefully, make Jimmy G look real good in the process. That's John B, you're hilarious, man. Ain't nobody calling us for no dang Dante Pettis at all. Nobody. Anybody calling us for Dante Pettis. Okay? There's two players that we can't get rid of. Dante Pettis and D Ford. We could give D Ford away and the team would be like, no, I'm straight. And he's still on IR? Nah. Doesn't he have a possible career in the injury? You don't need Dante Pettis. He won't. Okay, I remember a few years ago what happened with it's was it? It's not. What's the dude in Miami where he was punking homeboy and he made him feel like a chump? Incognito, Richie Incognito. Yes, Richie Incognito. So you have, if you put Dante Pettis in a room with Richie Incognito, Dante Pettis would fall up into a shell and probably not come out. He'd probably come out a butterfly and fly off. I can't deal with that. He too soft, man. He way too soft. Let's see. So John B says we'd be lucky to get a parking spot on that fool. I was never sold on the Pettis site precinct. Everybody knows that, bro. I never was sold on that Pettis site. And yes, he does know Billy's defense, so hopefully that does help Jimmy Brown out with that. And yes, I love Kendrick. I do, man. His workouts in the offseason inspiring. That man worked. But yes, he is an inconsistent catcher. Yes, on occasion, he will miss the big play. It is really, really hard. Now, John V got stupid jokes, man. Hey, Roy Boy, you gotta follow John V on Twitter. He gonna have you weak, bro. Stupid weak. You got me out there dying with some of the stuff he posted, man. I think John V, you gotta get him. If Roy Boy ain't following you on Twitter, man, I think it's at Veronis. If you don't mind me sharing that, man, John V is flat out hilarious on Twitter, bro. Especially when it comes to the Niners stuff. But guys, thank y'all for tuning in. I really appreciate y'all for coming in here, man. I love interacting with you guys and just talking 49er football, man. Kendrick does make up for a lot of things by being a ridiculous great dancer. And the guy's always smiling. Even Kyle Shanahan said it himself. Kyle was like, Kendrick is one of those dudes you could curse him out and he'd stand there and smile at you, but he still got everything that you said and he understood what you meant. And Kendrick's like, it's like a Sunday. It's weird, man. It's just how it is. They have like a father-son relationship, so he loves him some Kendrick Bourne. But the issue is that Kyle loves too many people. Fred Taylor, unfortunately, has done nothing this season. I don't think he's going to do much of anything this season, and he doesn't really get used. Um, Dante Pettis rides the bench. He's a waste of space. We should have been cut him. We should have cut him before the season. You know what I mean? But y'all have yourselves a wonderful evening, man. Stay faithful, stay blessed. Please stay safe. Make sure to be Smart people, just wear your mask when you got to go into a business, and when you're outside that business, do whatever the hell you please, man. I don't wear masks like super crazy. I'm not one of those people to talk about that. I just tell you when to go into business, don't be that person. Just don't make that crazy scene. Don't wind up as the next meme, man. You don't want people to call me either Ken or Karen or whatever they start calling people nowadays. But hey, man, y'all stay faithful. Y'all stay blessed. I really appreciate y'all. Bye, Marisa. I love you. Um, I hope that you guys have a good evening. Y'all stay blessed, and I'm out.